Arlington's Visual Budget is a financial visualization tool designed to help us understand where the town's money comes from, how it is spent, how our finances are managed, and how we plan for the future. The goal of Visual Budget is to help citizens understand the town's priorities. Our tagline is, "A town's priorities are reflected in its budget," or should be. Visual Budget was developed pro bono by Arlington's brilliant design firm Involution Studios, which worked closely with the town manager's office and volunteers to create this unique, award-winning visualization platform. Arlington Visual Budget can be visited at www.arlingtonvisualbudget.org. When you first open the website, you're invited to take a quick tour, which shows you how to find answers to the sort of questions you might have about town finances, such as how much is spent to fund various town departments, or the schools, or a special interest this year, how much did this winter's record-breaking snow cost us? I'll get to that later. You are also invited to enter your own property tax bill so that you can see what you, as a taxpayer, are spending for the services the town provides. So let's get started. Entering the average Arlington residential property tax of around $7,300. On this screen, you can see the total expenditures of the town from a mile high. And if you hover over each block, you can see how much of your tax bill is appropriated to fund each department. On the overall expenses page, you see a more detailed look at this big picture. Your own tax bill, the total budget, how much it increased from the previous year, and the original source of this data, which in this case are the budget documents on the town's website. In other cases, the source might be the school's website or the state's data bank. Visual Budget provides easy access to the raw data directly from its original sources. You can also see a table of these major budget segments showing the percentage of each in the total budget. At the bottom is a graph showing the trends from the most recent 5 years and the forecast for the next 5, which are from the town's long-term financial plan. By sliding the baseline, you can watch how the town's total expenditures have changed over the years and how the distribution has changed over time. The blocks on the right are called a tree map, a type of visualization which lets you see the big picture but dive into the details you might be interested in. Again, you can hover over each budget item to see how much you are contributing to that public service. This taxpayer is contributing around $2,800 to educate our students, $800 for insurance, $521 for capital projects, and about $1,800 for most of the other town services. If we dive into the school budget, you can see that $26 million, or about half of the school budget, goes towards general instructional services, $10 million towards special education, $4 million to send students to Minuteman Tech, and about $3 million for school administration. By hovering over each budget item, you can see how much this taxpayer has funded this year. We can pop back out and dive into the town budgets. This taxpayer is spending $350 per year for fire protection services, $400 for police, and $115 for the library. You can even see the tiny blocks by hovering over them. The Finance Committee cost this taxpayer 62 cents this year. We can dive even deeper to get more details. Here you can see this taxpayer is paying $181 for trash collection and $108 for snow and ice removal. If we dive into snow and ice expenditures, you can see a history of snowfall in Arlington over the last 5 years and what it cost this taxpayer to have the roads cleared each year. So now you know, it cost Arlington's taxpayers over $2 million this winter to have snow and ice removed from the town's public ways, and this taxpayer's share was about $108. If you hired someone to plow your own driveway, you probably paid more than that. Seeing the budgets this way tells a lot of stories. For example, if we dive into the insurance budget, you can see the impact moving to the state insurance program has had on our insurance expenses, saving almost $4 million immediately and lowering the growth rate from 8% to 6% or less. Now, where does the money come from to fund town services? You can find out by clicking the Revenues tab. Obviously, most of our revenues come from our friend the taxpayer, about 75%. You can also see the impact of the 2012 override, a permanent increase in tax rates. Debt exclusions, on the other hand, come and go as they are approved and paid off over time. For example, to pay for the new schools. You might have noticed that some of the pop-ups, like this one, have explanations of some of these budget terms that you might not have heard of. Another large source of revenue, about 15%, is state aid. By diving into this item, you can see what has happened since the beginning of the Great Recession in 2008. You can also see, for example, that aid for the schools has increased over that period, while aid for general government is still only half of what it was in 2008, a drop of $7 million. The third part of the visualization is funds and reserves, money set aside to offset future cost increases and to provide funds for emergencies, like a record-breaking snowfall. Free cash includes appropriations that were not spent by the end of the year and are carried over into the next year. Here you can see a notable increase in free cash from savings after moving into the state insurance program. The Override Stabilization Fund tells you the story of Arlington's successful overrides. Both the 2006 and 2012 overrides raised property taxes more than what was needed for the next year's expenses. The surplus was added to this stabilization fund to be spent down again as the structural deficit catches up with us. You can see here when the 2006 surplus was spent down in 2011, and then we either needed another override in 2012 or to start severely cutting town services. Voters were promised that the 2012 override would fund services for the next 4 to 5 years through about 2016. But in fact, through careful cost controls, sticking with the plan, success in acquiring a few major grants, and moving to the state insurance program, it appears that another override won't be needed for another 4 to 5 years when the surplus has been spent down again. Visual Budget has been carefully designed to provide an easy-to-read, graphical overview of the most important budget items, but it also acts as a repository for this collected information, which you can view and use in other ways. The tabular view shows you each item in the budget, its total amount, growth rate, and impact on the budget as a whole for any year in the data. The data driving Visual Budget has been regularly updated by the Town Manager's Office to reflect the most recent actual expenditures and forecasts. You can even download the raw data in spreadsheet format and do your own analysis. Finally, if you're a code jockey, you can get this whole Visual Budget program from its public repository. Visual Budget is being offered to the world at no cost as free, open source software, and has been adopted already by more than a dozen other cities and towns across the country. Visual Budget is here to help town officials explain how your money is spent and how we plan for the future. It can help residents of Arlington understand the town's finances, enabling them to ask smarter questions and make more informed decisions. It can save everyone time by collecting the financial data in one place, so when we're discussing town finances, we're all playing off the same sheet of music. I hope you've enjoyed this quick tour of Arlington's Visual Budget. If you're an Arlington taxpayer, spend some time on arlingtonvisualbudget.org and get to know our town's finances better, so we can work together as informed citizens to make sure our budgets are well managed and reflect our priorities. If you're not an Arlington resident and would like a visual budget for your own city or town, you can contact us at info@visgov.com or visit our website www.visgov.com.